She stared in the mirror, looking at the wrinkles on her face, thinking and contemplating about the marriage she's been in. She married him when she was 40 years of age. He was 62 years of age. She thought she was choosing stability, but she didn't know she was stepping into a life that would slowly erase her own. She began to realize that for the last 12 years, they don't even have a bedroom together. He can't. He has too many ailments. He needs to be as if he was in a hospital bed. For those 12 years, there has been no intimacy, no connection of any sort. In fact, the only connection that they do share is that she basically is his nurse, his caregiver. During that time, they have had plenty of money. He was very comfortable when he met her, and his stocks and everything have increased throughout the years. So money was no real object. She would do things, personal training, tennis classes, anything that she would need or what money could buy. But the one thing money could not buy for her was love. And so she met someone. She put down the rules and said, I'm cool with a fling, not realizing that she would quietly fall in love with someone else. When she looks in the mirror, she asks the question, what kind of a person does this make me? Is this story about cheating? Or is this story about survival? In a moment, we'll get into that story, but if you would, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. It's helping us go a long way, and we thank you and appreciate you. And now, on with the story. She didn't know what kind of marriage she was entering. As we said, she married him at 40 years of age, and he was 62 at the time. She believed she was choosing a mature man, a stable man, a man who had lived enough life to know how to treat a woman. But she didn't know the truth that hid in the marriage. She didn't know at first. She just thought he liked to party and have a good time. She began to realize he's an alcoholic. Even when they were intimate, when he was more capable of doing this, his intimacy and attractions went elsewhere. She didn't know he was attracted to men as well as women. She didn't know she was stepping into a life where she became a caregiver instead of wife. And so this is where that story begins. Because for years, the alcohol, the secrets, and the silence to come, she watched him drink. Not casually, not socially, but destructively. And when he would drink, he would ask, tonight I go out with my friends. She met them all men, which would be expected, good friends of his. She thought this was innocent. He said it was. Just guys that like to party and drink maybe once or twice a week. It's the way of life. It's our weekend, because every day is a weekend. Many of these men, they don't have to work. So what was said to her as innocence, she knew it wasn't. She knew those nights weren't about friendship at all. They were about desire. Desire he didn't know how to express. desire he didn't know how to own. What would that desire be? She had her speculations, but she would stay. Not because she didn't see it, but because she didn't know how to leave. She wondered about the marriage. Are we both hiding truth? Do we marry knowing that there will be secrets? Secrets that become partnerships in the relationship? She did know she wasn't competing with other women. That was reassuring, even though she knew he had an appetite for women. She wasn't even competing with another man, even though there were doubts in her mind at times. She was competing with his shame. Am I not even woman enough? And when you think and dwell on shame and suffering, it becomes repetitive. And suffering and shame, if that is your main thought, it will win. And on many nights at home, the bed would go cold before she would actually make a room elsewhere in the house. Because for 12 years without intimacy, 12 years in a separate bed at this point, she was emotionally starving. She didn't lose her husband overnight, though. No. She lost him slowly. To alcohol at first, which could have been a way of him hiding his guilt. Then came confusion. Confusion went into, what do I want? Both of them seemed to be asking this question. To avoid, so they don't get the answers, they stayed in silence. And with this, he met his demands where she lived in loneliness. And loneliness became her new identity. Now, when you think of the word affair, and putting all the clues together, could an affair be on the table at this point? Would that be okay? Even if it's gone or goes against every moral value? And if it is an affair and someone does say, I'll give you the companionship you want, but it will cost you, because you can taste the bright lights, but you're not going to get there for free. And then this became survival. So she began having affairs. And for her, they were not romantic ones, not emotional ones, just physical connection, what it takes to feel to be held and to feel desired. Someone actually wants me. She would tell the men, though, because she knew she had a lot to lose. I mean, I'm not looking for a relationship. Know that now. I'm just lonely, that's all. And they accepted the terms. In fact, most of the men were married themselves, so this was a win-win. But even after a while, loneliness has a way of changing the rules. Because eventually, with her hormones, her emotions, she began to at least tell herself she was falling in love with one of them. Not because he was perfect, far from it. Not because he was available, because he is married. But because he gave her something she wasn't getting at home. She felt alive again. At times she judged herself. judged herself for things that she thought she'd never do, like cheating, because it wasn't for excitement. She wasn't cheating for oxygen. But when you spend years as a caregiver, you feel like you are suffocating. By cleaning up after her very alcoholic husband. He'd come in, she'd undress him, clean him up, then clean the areas where he became sick. Watching his decline, if you will. He was much older, and throughout the years being together, he developed sickness, liver sickness, and all kinds of other things that come when you abuse your body in such a way. And she, outside of caregiver at this point, and his other desires for elsewhere, became invisible. Her affair, she felt, wasn't betrayal. It was proof of life for her now. And she couldn't decide about staying. She couldn't decide about what she wanted to do. And when she did, she came to her mind senses according to how she would justify things. But she would fight with that part of her that has moral value. Why don't I leave him? After all, it's clear he's interested in other men. He hasn't touched me in 12 years. And he's drinking himself into I don't even know if it's called an early grave at this point. So she justifies this. You know why I stay? Because I deserve that inheritance when it comes. And she knows he can't even change the books, even if he wanted to. His mind is so far gone. But he knows his wife. She deserves it after all. Outside of taking care of me, we have a daughter. A beautiful young lady who is going to grow, and I want to make sure she is everything. And so she feels, I deserve this inheritance. I gave my life for him. My youth, the labor in this household of being nursemaid and caregiver. Don't I deserve security when the end comes? And she shared with one family member overseas, knowing it wouldn't get back. I'm not greedy, she says, if you're thinking about me like that. She said, no, I don't judge you. This is justice, she says to her. You see, she didn't marry a wealthy man, she feels. She married a burden. And she carried that burden for decades. And now, as it gets closer to the end, she wants the one thing she can still get from the marriage. Freedom through financial stability. And so she wears the mask. She wears the mask that he thinks she is. Because after all, he met her overseas through a service. And perhaps that also changed the game. I am in control. So she continues to cook for him, clean for him, and manages his medical appointments in life. She gives him the comforts that he wants. And she pretends to be emotionally present to all of it. He believes she is still his wife. She knows she is only your caregiver, she says to herself. He doesn't see her truth because he's drowning in alcohol, illness, and denial. She doesn't show her truth because she is drowning in loneliness and she resents the hell out of him. But she's obligated at this point because of the mask. And when two people live in the same house wearing a mask, neither one can afford to take it off. And this is what she tells herself. The marriage is already over, according to her mind. It's just a matter of time. She thinks about it all the time. And from you listening, how would you feel? Would you be waiting for this person to die so your life can begin? And would this make you cruel, less human? She says to herself, I didn't choose this story the way it's ending, but I need to survive it now. So the questions continue in her mind. What kind of a person does this make me? And then she justifies the answers. I am lonely though. Tired, human. I know the vows. For better or for worse. Till death do us part. Does that mean I lose everything I am? To be a woman? Did I do something in a past life that I should do this now? Am I a villain? A gold digger? Heartless? She is a woman who gave everything she feels. She wants something in return. I want security, freedom, a future for me and my daughter, and a chance to love again. I know the man I'm having an affair with, and he's totally fine with when this does end, because he doesn't really love me. And my heart feels for him, but I distance it to control my emotions so I don't get close, because I know there's nothing really there. And she will wait until the end of this marriage. This is the contract she made with herself, because that is the only path she has left.
That was an intense story. And in my line of work, unfortunately, I hate to say, but I see that all the time. Men had it with their relationships for whatever reason they want to state, rather than even going to speak to someone or recommend someone to help us. We don't need help. And it's a little different with the women I work with. They might be aware of it. Maybe they put on the mask like this lady did in the story. And I'll ask them, what makes you stay? Well, security, just like her story. I'll say, well, what do you think has changed? He's a wonderful man. He's never treated me badly, but I feel the relationship went into boredom, loneliness. I feel less desired, or I'll have other women that say, he's interested in every way. I just don't feel desire. I don't feel connected anymore. And men, again, every once in a while, I'll get someone to connect with me and say, so what did it for you? Or is not doing it for you, I should say. And he said, I don't know. I feel her distancing from me. I feel less of a man because I'm not feeling desired. But we wear the mask. Men will say they wear it. I'm not saying this is for men or women, but I will have men that will say, I guess I'm there for the kids. And if I have an affair, is it my fault when I'm not getting what I need at home? And I'll have women that will say, I'm here for the security. Does this make me a bad person? If I have an affair, am I only bad when I finally get caught? Or do I keep this up? But what if I fall in love? These are the things I get on a regular basis. And it's a shame. It's sad that what is happening in the relationship. We have a saying in the work I do. If you do what you did at the beginning of the relationship when you were head over heels in love and you make this a consistent pattern, there will never be an end. So you have to ask yourself, where does it begin to fall apart? Where does the desire, we say, well, I'm working more now. We're a family. I have the kids. Well, you don't make that time to compliment each other, to love each other, to show appreciation to each other. And it becomes more expectations than an appreciation. or a transactional relationship. Look what all I did. Look what all I continue to do. You do nothing. That person goes, oh, really? I'm raising the kids. I'm doing this, but I do nothing. When it becomes conflict, then it becomes resentful. And maybe outside of those things, we can still get back. But the key thing is, I believe you can. You have to want to. Again, if you do what you did in the beginning, there'll never be an end. I hope this was helpful for you. And please, once again, subscribe, like, share, and comment. And until the next time, have a great day or evening, wherever you are.